The car in your driveway is the most sophisticated piece of technology most people will ever own. It is also increasingly the most invasive surveillance device they will ever own, and almost no one who signed for one understands what they actually agreed to. For a century, a car was a mechanical object: steel, glass, rubber, and an engine. It went where you pointed it, and it kept your business to itself. What you said inside it, where you went, how you felt behind the wheel, none of that was recorded, transmitted, or analyzed. The car was a private space on four wheels, a rolling room of your own. That is no longer what a car is. A modern vehicle is a connected computer wrapped in a body. It carries cameras, microphones, sensors, and a permanent cellular connection to its manufacturer. It can see who is sitting in it. It can hear what is said in it. It can track where it goes, how it is driven, and according to patents now on public record, who you are, down to your face, your eyes, and your fingerprints. We were told this was about convenience. Hands-free calling, personalized seat settings, safety features that watch the road so you do not have to. And some of it genuinely is useful, but underneath the convenience, a different architecture has been assembling itself, one in which the vehicle is not a private space you control, but a data collection node owned and operated in every meaningful sense by the company that built it. Here is the thesis of this investigation, stated plainly. The shift happening inside modern vehicles is not primarily about better technology. It is about turning your car into an always-on sensor platform, one that watches you, listens to you, and reports back, and using public safety law as the mechanism to make that surveillance mandatory, permanent, and impossible to refuse. This is not speculation about the distant future. The patents are filed. The law is on the books. The cameras are already in the cabin. Today, we are going to walk through exactly what your car can now see, what it can hear, what the government just required it to do, and what it means to live inside a machine that is quietly watching the person who paid for it. Start with what the vehicle can see. For decades, automakers deliberately kept cameras out of the cabin. They understood that drivers found the idea of being watched inside their own vehicle deeply intrusive. That reluctance is gone. The industry has reversed course completely. The patent record shows how far it intends to go. In February of 2024, Ford filed a patent application for an in-cabin biometric system. It was published in August of 2025. The filing describes integrating multiple sensors capable of capturing facial, fingerprint, and iris-based biometric data inside the vehicle cabin. The stated purpose is identity verification, alertness monitoring, and automatic personalization, the car recognizing who is behind the wheel and adjusting to them. On its face, that sounds benign. The car knows it's you, so it sets your seat and your mirrors, but read what the underlying capability actually is. The vehicle is now equipped to scan your face, your eyes, and your fingerprints to capture the same class of biometric identifiers that a government uses on a passport or a police booking inside a consumer vehicle as standard sensing hardware, and the patents go further than personalization. Ford has filed patent applications describing the comparison of individuals against stored threat identification records in plain language, running the biometric data captured inside the cabin against law enforcement databases. A vehicle that does not just recognize you, but checks who you are against a watch list. Sit with the implications. If a vehicle can scan the face of its occupant and compare it against a criminal database in real time, the car is no longer just transportation. It is a checkpoint, a mobile identity verification station operating continuously on private citizens who have been accused of nothing. In early 2026, a Ford patent application was published describing the use of interior cameras and machine learning to read the occupant's lips, track facial expressions, and assess emotional state and alertness. Ford's stated rationale is practical. Lip reading helps the voice control system work in a noisy environment. A convertible with the top down, for instance, where a microphone struggles, Emotion and alertness detection, the company says, helps determine whether a driver is fit to drive. Take Ford at its word on intent. The capability still stands on its own. A camera trained on your face, continuously interpreting your expressions, reading your lips, and forming a machine assessment of your emotional condition. That data has to exist somewhere to be useful. And once it exists, the question is no longer what the manufacturer intended. The question is who else can reach it. This is where privacy and legal experts have raised the alarm, and their concern is not science fiction. Consider an accident. In the seconds before a collision, a camera-equipped vehicle could log the driver's heart rate, eye movement, facial expression, and lip movement. After the crash, that data exists. Law enforcement can subpoena it. An insurer can request it as a condition of a claim. Your own vehicle becomes a witness, and the testimony it gives was recorded without your meaningful consent in a space you believed was private. To be precise about what is established versus what is feared, the biometric sensing, the database comparison capability, and the emotion and lip reading systems are documented in public patent filings. What advocates warn about is a vehicle that locks you out, immobilizes itself, or hands your biometric record to a third party based on what its cameras decide. That is the trajectory those capabilities point toward, not a feature confirmed shipping in your driveway today. The distinction matters. The capabilities are real, they are patented, and the direction is unmistakable. The cabin does not just have eyes, it has ears. And the most commercially valuable thing your car can do is not drive you somewhere. It is listen to you while it does. Think about what is said inside a car. It is one of the last genuinely private spaces in modern life. People argue in cars, they confess in cars, they make plans, discuss money, talk about their health, their relationships, their fears. The cabin has historically been a confessional precisely because no one was listening. Now consider the commercial logic of a connected vehicle that can hear. Every modern automaker is searching for recurring revenue, income that continues long after the car is sold. They have found it in data and in subscriptions. And the conversation happening inside the cabin is, from a data broker's perspective, an extraordinarily rich and completely untapped resource. The patent landscape and industry reporting point clearly toward in-vehicle systems designed to parse what is said in the cabin and use it commercially. This means natural language processing applied to cabin audio, capable of detecting keywords and topics, with the infotainment screen as the delivery surface for targeted advertising. You mention you are thirsty on a drive, an ad for a drive-thru appears on your console. You discuss a vacation, travel offers surface on your screen. The car is monetizing your conversation in real time. Whether any specific automaker ships exactly this tomorrow is less important than the architecture that makes it possible. And that architecture is being assembled now. The microphones are already in the cabin. The cellular connection is already live. The cloud processing already exists. The only remaining step is the business decision to point it at your conversations. And the entire industry is under intense pressure to find exactly this kind of recurring revenue. Now layer on the security problem because it is severe. A system that captures cabin audio, transmits it to the cloud, and parses it for commercial value is a system that creates a permanent, transmissible record of private speech. Any such pipeline is a target. It can be breached. It can be subpoenaed. It can be sold in a data broker marketplace. It can be repurposed by whoever gains access, lawfully or not. The moment your private conversation leaves the cabin as data, you have lost control of it forever, and you have no way of knowing where it goes. We have spent years worried about smart speakers in our living rooms listening to us. The car is a smart speaker that weighs 4,000 pounds, knows precisely where you are at all times, knows who you are by your face, and that you are legally required to operate to participate in most of American life. It is the most intimate surveillance device most people will ever own, and they paid tens of thousands of dollars for the privilege. Here is the part that turns all of this from a troubling corporate trend into something close to inevitable. Because the most effective way to put a camera in every cabin in America is not to sell it as surveillance. It is to mandate it as safety. In November of 2021, President Biden signed the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, a sprawling 2,700-page law. Buried inside it was a provision almost no one noticed at the time. Section 24220, titled Advanced Impaired Driving Technology. Section 24220 directs the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, to issue a federal motor vehicle safety standard requiring advanced drunk and impaired driving prevention technology in all new passenger vehicles. The systems must be passive, meaning they operate without the driver activating them, and capable of detecting impairment and preventing or limiting the vehicle's operation when the driver is impaired. The original rulemaking deadline was November 2024. Enforcement is expected to phase in by around September 2027. The safety case is real and serious. According to NHTSA, more than 13,000 people were killed in alcohol-impaired crashes in 2021, nearly a third of all U.S. traffic deaths that year. No honest person dismisses that toll. Drunk driving is a genuine, lethal problem, and the desire to stop it is legitimate. But look at what the mandate actually requires and what it normalizes. To passively detect impairment, a vehicle needs to monitor the driver continuously, and the leading approach is a driver-facing camera tracking the eyes, the gaze, the head position, the signs of intoxication or fatigue. The law does not say install a surveillance camera in every car. It says passively detect impaired driving. But the most practical way to satisfy that requirement is a camera watching the driver's face every second the vehicle is running. This is the Trojan horse. Public safety law becomes the delivery mechanism for the exact in-cabin monitoring hardware the manufacturers were already building for their own commercial purposes. Once the camera is mandated for impairment detection, it is present in the cabin, and a camera present for one purpose is a camera available for others. Emotion detection, biometric scanning, database comparison, conversation analysis, the safety mandate installs the eye. What that eye is ultimately used for is governed by patents, terms of service, and corporate discretion, not by the safety law that put it there. And this is not theoretical. Driver-facing camera monitoring is already live in commercial fleets and in consumer-assisted driving systems. The systems that watch a driver's attention during hands-free driving already exist and already ship. Section 24,220 takes that watching and makes it universal, standard, and federally required on every new passenger vehicle for every driver all the time. A capability that would have been politically impossible to mandate as surveillance becomes mandatory when it is framed as saving lives. That is how the most invasive driver monitoring infrastructure in history gets installed in every vehicle in America, not by force, but by good intentions weaponized into a permanent eye on the driver. Pull every thread together and a picture emerges that should disturb anyone regardless of their politics. Your vehicle can see your face and check it against databases. It can read your lips and assess your emotional state. It can listen to your conversations and increasingly monetize them. It streams data continuously to its manufacturer over a connection you cannot disable, and federal law now requires it to carry a camera that watches you every moment you drive. And here is the final layer, the one that completes the transformation from ownership to tenancy. The same connected architecture that monitors you also gives the manufacturer remote control over the vehicle itself. Automakers have moved aggressively towards software feature subscriptions, such as heated seats, performance upgrades, and driver assistance features locked behind monthly payments, activated and deactivated remotely. The capability that lets a company switch a feature on for a fee is the same capability that lets it switch a feature off. And the industry has developed and patented technology extending toward remote immobilization, vehicles capable of limiting their own function or disabling themselves entirely on command from a server you do not control. Consider what that means. A vehicle that can disable itself remotely is a vehicle whose continued operation depends on the ongoing permission of the company that built it. Miss a payment, and the car that watches you can also refuse to move. The surveillance node and the control node are the same node. The eye that watches you and the hand that can stop you are wired into the same system. So ask the question that underlies all of it. In what sense do you own a machine that watches you, listens to you, reports on you, can be remotely throttled or disabled by its maker, and is legally required to monitor your face as a condition of being sold? You hold the title, you make the payments, you are responsible for the insurance and the maintenance and the fuel, but the vehicle answers ultimately to someone else. You are not its owner in the way your grandfather owned his truck. You are a tenant inside a machine that belongs in every functional sense to a corporation and the systems it controls. This is the quiet redefinition at the center of it all. For all of human history, ownership of a physical object meant control of that object. You held it, you used it, you kept its secrets, and what you did with it was your business. That equation is being rewritten inside the modern car. And because the car is the second most expensive thing most people will ever buy, and the place they spend a staggering portion of their lives, it is the most consequential place for that rewrite to happen. The surveillance is patented, the mandate is law, the cameras are in the cabin, and the machine in your driveway, the one you believe is yours, is watching the person who paid for it, listening to everything said inside it, and waiting quietly for instructions from somewhere else. You still hold the keys, you just are no longer the only one who decides what the car does or what it knows about you.